Morning, everyone. Lisa Parento here. I'm from beautiful Cape Cod and president of the New England Region RRC. I'm so excited to welcome everybody to today's Mastermind Monday, and specifically very excited to be joined by Richard Waystack, our immediate past president of the National Association. I was just mentioning that this was kind of a selfish ask because what I asked Richard to talk about today was leadership lessons learned over this past year of 2020 when he became the national president of the Residential Real Estate Council. And I know that Richard probably, had sort of these, unbelievable plans to travel to Europe and Asia and all these places as his predecessor did. Seriously, as we continue to grow RRC across the world internationally, the president is charged with being obviously the face and traveling all over. And as of the second week of March, that came to a screeching halt, as did kind of the rest of the world. So I wanted to ask Richard to talk a little bit today and share about what that was like, actually, literally, what it was like to need to shift. I won't use the P word, but also just as a leader and sort of being agile, adaptable, acceptance, all of those things that also are leadership qualities. And with all of that said, thank you everybody for being here. And Richard, we look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, everybody. First lesson learned is these dang masks, you can't hear anyone talk. So we're all in our offices or at home or wherever you are. And I'm just so glad to see so many lovely faces in the Brady Bunch boxes. And yes, I am Richard Waystack. And Lisa, you're absolutely correct. After a tremendous celebration in Orlando at Champions Gate last year, actually, you'll see a picture of it in my presentation. Things changed very, very quickly. And not only did it change, and we hate the P word, but the P word's important. There's another P word we're going to talk about this morning or today. Things changed very, very quickly. And it threw things totally upside down. And as national president, you have a process that you go through. You have a team that you work with. You're given a team. And the P word, instead of the pivot that everyone talked about, the P word became people. It became people very, very quickly. So today we've got some time together, talk about, I became the first virtual president of RRC or CRS. And, it had a lesson for me, and it was obviously all about people last year. So I'm going to share with you some lessons learned, and first and foremost, we're going to review being yourself. And I see some people on the screen who definitely are themselves. I see my pal out of Framingham, Mr. Zide, who's always been himself. Love him to death. We're going to talk about something that I've been talking about not only in RRC, but I've been talking about in general for years, about our businesses, about our lives, being about three things and three things only. It's all about relationships, communication, and trust. And trust was never more important than it was last year. Choosing your team players, who's on your team? Why do you choose them? And I'm going to ask if you can today, because again, I see some great instructors on the screen. I see our friends from Rhode Island, Ann Enos. I see Marie Presti, who's brilliant. I see Nelson, Nelson's I've got a story about Nelson that I'll share with you, who's one of the greatest instructors that I have seen from Massachusetts. Hi, Nelson.
Hello, how are you, Richard?
I'm better now that I get to see you, my friend.
It's better that you say these nice things about me. I appreciate it. I want to hear the story. Come on, I want to hear the story.
All right, very quickly, everybody, for Nelson. Actually, it's a tough story. It's about people, too. And 9/11, I was at the Massachusetts Association of Realtors Convention. It was down at Foxwoods, I believe.
Yes.
And it was early morning. And actually, I was in a packed classroom, and Nelson was instructing, and it was a great crowd that was there. Someone came in and whispered in Nelson's ear that the World Trade Center had been attacked. And you talk about changes and pivoting quickly. We had to very quickly that day. And I'll never forget the shock and the awe of people. And Nelson would just handle himself with such grace and reassuring people. It was, I'll always have the greatest respect for Nelson for that. Nelson, you'll always be important to me for that, my friend.
Thank you. And anyway, I remember that morning, but thank you.
Talk about shifting our perspectives, the importance of listening and caring. I want to talk a lot about that, and focus on compassion and empowerment rather than control. And I got a little blooper reel at the end. We're going to share some things. I want all of you to share with those of some of the things we learned. And one of the things I want to hear today, and I want truly you to share in the chat if you would, what are the changes, what are the lessons that we've learned that will become permanent? And there are many. So let's get started. Can I share my screen?
Also, Richard, if
You
I
should be
might
able to.
add, I don't know why, but your audio is a bit crackly.
It's crackly.
Yep.
I've never been known to be crackly.
It's a first. It's always a first, sir. Yeah, I thought it
Okay,
was
let's
me, and I
change.
texted Christine, and she thought it was her sister's internet, but so we've concluded it may be you.
That's,
Oh,
And
that's a
you
lot better.
should be able to share, Richard.
is that better?
Yes, a
Yeah.
million times better.
All right,
Thank you.
great.
Okay, good.
Wonderful. Okay, let us if we can. Okay, that's who I am. No, that doesn't want to work. I have to do individual screens, I guess, unfortunately. All right. If we can't share it, I'm going to be in trouble. Okay, first and foremost, be yourself, folks. You know, that's, and I'm not going to, it's too bad I'm not going to be able to share some of these slides. First lesson I learned, you know, in leadership, you will see that when it comes to being involved, we've had so many great leaders in this organization. You know, I follow people like Lee Brown, you know, Michael Burkhardt, and each of them had their own leadership styles. And you have to learn very, very quickly. You've got to be who you are. And I ask, you know, what does your inner self say who you are? And I use this example, and I've used it for years, that I'm known, I'm vain, I'll be the first to admit it. I got a good head of hair, I love my hair. Nelson can rock a bald palate and be beautiful. Well, years ago, a situation occurred where there was a fundraiser, and someone said, Richard, you got a great head of hair. You would raise a lot of money if you would shave your head. And, you know, for me, that's tough, but I did it. And I see lots of smiles when they see that picture of a bald-headed Richard Waystack. And, you know, the next morning after I did it, my mother was there. They televised it live in our community. They raised a bunch of money. And the gentleman who was over in the red shirt, he raised the most money. So he got the first cut right down the middle of my head and gave me a reverse mohawk. But, you know, that's who I am. And the next morning, my wife woke up in bed. She startled, she said, oh my God. And she looked at me with all sincerity, said, darling, I love you to death, but I certainly hope that your hair grows back because you're not a handsome bald man. You know, and it's true. But, you know, you guys have heard me talk literally for years about relationships, communication, trust. It's about our business. It's about our organizations. It really sums it all up. And in our relationships, how do we get to trust? And truly, and Lisa, for you and the other leaders who are here involved at both association and organizational leadership, who's your number one trusted advisor? How do you get there? How do you trust somebody? It's so, so important. And, you know, it's interesting in our businesses. People who get involved in leadership for many, many reasons. You know, some want to get to know people. They want to increase their network. They want to build their resumes. You know, I found that the true leaders are those, the ones who care about the organization, care about the mission of the organization, and they want to see it do well. So I ask you, who's on your team and why? And Lisa, you've got a large team from RRC. You've got some great advisors that are there, and you put them there for a reason. You know, this past year, organization of RRC changed a number of years ago. It was an executive committee and a board of directors that was much larger. But back about 5 years ago, they changed that membership model. They reduced the board of directors, and there was no longer an executive committee. And as president, one of the things I needed to do is I realized that I could have a team of people that I relied on to speak. And we were talking once every 2-3 weeks. But after the first week, actually right when we came back from celebration, I realized very, very quickly that I had to assemble my team. And I reached out to the immediate past president, Michael Burkhardt, who served with distinction. Alex Milstein out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, the incoming president-elect, and Holly Woodward, our first vice president from Oklahoma. And part of that was for the reason is that very diverse group of people, very diverse group of realtors and leaders. And Holly was from a different section than Alex was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And Ann Arbor was one of the first cities and one of the first states in Michigan to shut down. Yet Holly in Oklahoma, things weren't shutting down at all. No mask mandate. It was very, very different. So I think it was important for me as we were talking about what was happening for RRC to get different perspectives. We started speaking weekly. And it was easier for me, rather than trying to make decisions on my own, to have some people that I knew and I trusted and who would be able to give us the best information. You talk about relationships. And if you can see the screen, there's some really cool people on that screen. Obviously, starting last year at Celebration, and Lisa was ravishing in her red dress sitting out front. You know, a lot of you are in that picture who are on the screen today. And you know, relationships are so important. And these are people who are important in my life. And I'll start with the left-hand corner gentleman sitting on my lap. And actually that was from a celebration many, many, many years ago. By the way, both of us rocked good heads of hair. For those of you who don't know, that's Bill Coolman. And Bill was one of my pals. And Bill had been president of Massachusetts CRS, but we still had the chapters there. And he spoke in 2016 at Celebration. He talked about what a difference a year can make. And it was about his struggle learning he had had cancer. And Bill was a good friend. And, you know, this organization, the designation of CRS and the organization of New England RRC, story that I do get a tad emotional, so I apologize if I do. Bill had a long battle with cancer. He had been moved to a hospice in Waltham. And I got a call from one of his very, very close friends who said, he's not going to be long. And we wanted to do something for him. And the leadership of New England RRC allowed me to give Bill a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I raced like hell from Cape Cod here and drove up at crazy speed to get to Waltham. And I arrived at about 7 p.m. And someone came out who I knew said, he's not taking visitors any longer. And at that point, his wife came out and said, he'll see you, Richard. And Bill was not able to speak. So I spoke and I read the award to him, and I put it on his chest, and he held it and he put both hands on it and he smiled. And Bill passed away later that night. You know, and you talk about relationships and the importance of relationships. You talk about communication and trust. I trusted that man with my life. And I was with him the night that he died. The guy in the other corner, many of you know, that's Lenny Harris out of Norwood, Mass., a former president of CRS and one of my dearest, dearest friends in the world. And, you know, Lenny's one of those guys who was part of my team, you know, and Lenny and I think very, very differently. But his perspective allows me to look at my perspective and see what I can learn from him. And that's the importance of having a strong team. Not everyone is going to be a yes person. Not everyone is going to endorse what you do, but challenge you at times to say, why might this be better for our organization? At least in your case, why might it be better for New England and our members here? So it's good to get those different perspectives. Last year, we had to shift our perspective. The importance of listening and caring was so important. And, you know, there's we'll see a quote in a little moment. Cornell, there's the Johnson School of Business. They did a summation of last year, and they talked about organizations such as ours, really a collection of human beings coming together to create value that could not be created alone. And that those that succeeded last year were organizations that decided to focus on compassion and empowerment rather than control. It truly was. It was so important for us to really make that pivot so quickly. And I know for me, first thing I need to do is get out to our members to say, hey, you know what? Doesn't matter what I know. Doesn't matter what any of us know. It matters how much we care. And that was what we had to do very, very quickly. And I think any leader in any organization, you need to plant those care seeds very, very early to tell your membership that you do care about them and that they mean everything to you. We would not be where we are without our membership in our organizations today. So important. You know, this has been attributed to Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, but actually came from Theodore Roosevelt. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. It is so, and it's funny, I see the nods of all the heads going, yep, that's true. It is imperatively true. And if you don't let people know that you care about them, they don't care about anything else. And I know that in the last year, when you get involved in leadership, you become the chief of the complaint department. And I had calls from all over the world last year from people I had never met before about, I tried to call customer service and I had to wait online 15 minutes. Yet they spent 15 minutes talking to me on the phone about complaining about customer service. But, as we establish those relationships with established trusted advisors in our lives, communication was so important. We get the whole Zoom crap and all that went on with that. But you know what we had to do in terms of communication was to expect the unexpected. What does it mean to your organization? We, as RRC, is a large organization with a substantial budget, we had to make some changes very, very quickly. Because remember what happened last year, despite the record year in real estate, when the initial COVID started, the stock market crashed out quickly. The real estate market stopped like that in an instant. Again, it changed, it moved. But as you are now president of an organization saying, what should we do with our reserves? Our organization, RRC, had reserves at the time about $16 million. And as the market was being challenged, we had discussions. And this is where that trusted advisor in your teams is so important. And we had people in Massachusetts screaming at me saying, hey, we got to start divesting of some of our stocks and change. The market is going to really go down further and further and further. So hearing from experts in the industry to say to us, hey, slow down, take a moment. Things are going to change again. Same thing that happened in real estate. Our reserves started at 16 million. They ended the year at 20 million. And again, preparing for that unexpected and bringing in people who were appropriate was so, so important for us. The other thing we had to do is when we were doing budget for this year, and I'm sure you did it, Lisa, with your team, and Cheryl with your team, looking at budgets for the year. What were you going to do? I know when we started talking in March and April, doing our budget for 2021, what's our worst case? In-person learning was devastated. We could no longer do classes in person. And that's where a big part of our funding comes from and our revenue comes from, in addition to our membership dues. That was decimated. We had to look at our budgets very, very quickly to say, hey, wait a minute, what is going to be the worst case? What if things don't open up? And frankly, things didn't really open up. There were very few in-person classes last year. And as we made changes, we reduced some of the costs. We did a number of free webinars. In fact, we were very fortunate because with change came opportunity for us. We were positioned so well as an organization to do virtual online learning so quickly. And I have great respect for a lot of folks who stepped up. Chris Bird, Dale Carlton, we did one of the first webinars very, very, very quickly on the PPP program and the EIDL loan programs. Over 1,000 people were on that webinar. And people were literally filling out the application for those programs while they were online at the webinar. And as a result of that, our members got relieved very, very quickly. So there are times that, we know that we have to pivot. I'm going to ask you, and here's where I'd like some feedback. And if you would, whoever's looking at chat, what changed immediately for you in terms of communication? And what will continue post-COVID? And if you would like to put it in, please add it into chat. And again, some very, very talented people there. Please do that so that we can share it. I don't want to hear myself speak for 30 minutes. I'd rather have some good input. So if you would, add those in there. One of the things we realized very, very, very quickly, change, and as change was happening just rapidly, literally, it was from day to day. It was not just month to month, week to week. It was day to day, things were changing. How we brought opportunity together. And that the pandemic serves as that events happen that are totally outside of a leader's control, but it can accelerate beneficial change for an organization. And you folks here in the New England region of our RC, immediately you started getting out to your membership to tell them that you cared, and you're still doing this program, whether it's a president's panel or a Monday mastermind, still getting information out to your members. Now, when I did that, I don't want to hear people speak. I wanted to get interactive. And some of the communication that was occurring was tremendously interactive. Early on, how are you going to do an open house? How do you do an open house virtually? What are your COVID requirements that you're doing? And then people from all over the country sharing in back to those relationships and your trusted advisors. The other benefit that happened for us, the opportunity of reaching out to members that we have not seen in years. I traveled all over the country virtually. I had over 20 trips canceled last year. And lessons learned: book refundable airline tickets, book refundable hotel rooms. I got more credits. I'll travel for the next 5 years free. But the thing is we look at these changes and what we did. You folks reached out, you did these things. We came out, and we as an organization realized that we needed to keep our education going. We needed to educate our members, tell them how much we cared. We put a lot of free information out. There was a huge change that we made, We decided, and those of you who may not have realized this, I'm sure it will spur some conversation. We needed to strip away things that weren't important, to increase the trust that we had in our members. One of the things that we did away with our CE requirement. We no longer have that as a part of our membership requirement. And there was a lot of discussion about that, a whole lot of discussion. And, I see a couple of people on the screen who've been members of RRC and CRS, had their CRS designation for many years. And I'm a member of the 25-year club. Some people felt it wasn't important, but we decided to get rid of it. But what we are going to do is, as we retool Find a CRS, we're going to be recognizing those who do that continuing education requirement. I know that if I'm going in, and one of the best benefits of being a member of RRC and having a CRS designation is knowing I've got a referral network all over the world, but I'm only going to refer any of my trusted clients to someone who is up to date with education. And if I see someone there who's in a community, I'll use Framingham. Obviously, Nelson's my referral partner out in Framingham, but if there were 10 CRS designees in Framingham, I'm going to look at their profiles. I'm going to see, are they attending events? Are they going to celebration? Are they going to the mid-year? Are they going to the national convention? Are they taking courses? Are they involved in any webinars? Have they fulfilled a CE? If they haven't, am I going to give my trusted client to those folks? So we were forced to make some changes there. And it's not difficult when you make those changes, but opportunity arose for us. We talk about giving up control. We talk about our relationships. We talk about empathy. And it's the number one leadership skill that's necessary, is to be able to listen and empathize with people are going through. One of our presidents last year, Jerry Moskowitz out of Minnesota, got very, very ill at one point. They thought it was COVID. He was hospitalized. Most important call I could make in the day was to reach out to Jerry and say, "Hey, pal, how you doing?" And these days, those calls are more important than ever. To reach out to someone and not say, "Hey, how's the market?" and so forth. I've got a referral for you. Is, how you doing? How's your family? Last year, everyone lost people. There was a woman here in this community, 60 years old, just lovely, lovely. Her smile would light up a room. And she got COVID, went into the hospital, was doing really, really, really well. She was released from the COVID ward. 2 days later, she was gone. And the greatest lesson that we can learn from last year is that life is indeed short. We truly have one day at a time. We don't know what's going to happen. And, as we all learned how to give up control at all levels, there's something, and it's something I do every day. I work with some folks who are counseling and rehab. And there's a little prayer that we say at all times. It's the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. A lot of things learned last year, and if we have time, I want to get into the chat to see what some of your wonderful opportunities were. Let me stop sharing my screen so I can see all your beautiful faces again. Can someone stop that screen? Because I'm not able to at the moment. Christine, could you? Great.
And I think there's actually quite a few comments and some really great ones in the chat, Richard. If you want to take a quick peek or you want one of us to read them out, happy to do either.
Yeah, I have no control at the moment. So if you would, Lisa, if you want to read a few of those, please.
If I can stop the share. I don't know if I can stop the share.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, I think only you can, Richard.
Oh, good Lord.
At the top, stop sharing. I know you know how to work Zoom, for God's sakes.
There we go.
There we go.
Let's take a peek and chat and see. And
Yeah.
Familiar
Yeah, it was
faces
really
there?
kind of great because people really put in some of their lessons that they learned. I know another one of our instructors and head of our communications, Caitlin McGregor, had a nice, a really something I think that is really important, that we gained so much time efficiency in a sense because we were not driving, we were not doing all those things. We lost many things in terms of being in person, but we gained so much in terms of time efficiency. And she poses the question, how will we keep some of that once we move into a hybrid and then hopefully into live? That's a great question, Kate. Do you have an answer for us?
It's
You're-
true.
you're
If you look
muted.
at what's
So my answer was the boundaries and guidelines. So, we're going to be so excited to spend time with people that we're going to chit chat and things are going to move on, and we're going to get away from what the purpose of that meeting was. So I think that having like clear guidelines going into meetings will be something that's really important, because I think that we've all gotten used to getting a whole bunch of stuff done
In a short time, having an agenda and making sure that everyone understands the expectations of that. Great comment. Richard, you were going to say something?
Well, I'm looking at some of the things here, and I want to mention about. Nora said presentation skills change. Nora, so true. Some people can hold a room. Nelson's one of those guys who can do it. Obviously, Kate can do it. I see some of you who can do that, can hold a room. When you get into a Zoom discussion, it's a whole different scenario. And I love the interaction. And I think, and if you guys feel free, if you want to unmute yourselves to join in. And you talked about overcoming camera shyness. By the way, I am wearing pants today, so I just, and my fly is up. So, Monica, did I see Monica still there? Oh my good Lord. Monica Newbar, one of our wonderful instructors.
Hi, Richard.
How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. I was curious to hear what you're sharing and what you've learned. So thanks for sharing with the group.
And I attended one of Monica's classes not too long ago. What an excellent instructor. We're so fortunate to have you. We've got so many great instructors in our cadre, really do. Zoom education is so important, and Brian Copeland did one very, very quickly for us with RRC. We reached out immediately. And I know one of the other changes we made was to buy Zoom licenses so that all of our states and regions had the opportunity to reach out to their members. And boy, did it work effectively. By the way, New England, Cheryl and Lisa, I promoted you guys all over the country because you stepped up so quickly. Your entire team, Christine and Nora and the whole bunch of you guys did such a great job. Cheryl mentioned we were able to reach and engage more members. Cheryl, you did it very, very quickly, and you got a whole, in fact, some of the ones that I attended, your first programs, people I haven't seen in years were showing up. Do you wish to comment on that?
Well, I have to give you total credit for that, because I'm starting to understand you much better now that I've known you for more than 10 years. He's very good at giving an idea to someone and say, no, go do it. Like, so in education, when I was a leader, he'd say, just go call the instructor and just do it. And and that's how I learned. And you believed in me, so I wanted to do a good job. And the same thing when you called us early March and said, we just have to get in touch with our members. I didn't know Zoom. Zoom was a kids' TV show. Want to Zoom. That's the only thing I remember from Zoom. And then I had to quickly learn it in our own group. Marie Presti was very good at it. Nora Lynch was extremely good at it. And so we just pooled all our talents together and we just got it done. And you wanted to talk to all of our 1,200 members. So we went and we got the bigger package with Zoom, and you just made a whole lot of people feel really, really great. And we just wanted to continue that. All our classes were being canceled. So we remodeled our classes into Zoom meetings, and we engaged people once a week. We got them trained to tune in, and Christina's has taken it to a whole new level with now getting us on Facebook Live. And then if people happen to miss it, it's on YouTube for infinity. So you're going to be out there for decades and generations to come. So thank you, Richard, for all your inspiration.
Hey, Cheryl, all I did is said, hey, Cheryl, think about doing it. You did it. Your team did it, actually, and I want to ask you, I'm surprised. I'd love to see more in the chat. Who are members of your team? Getting back to that trusted advisors, who are your trusted advisors and why? Why do you trust them? Because that's what's going to be necessary. And, bottom line moving forward, we're a membership organization with 28,000+ members. And without those members, we don't exist as an organization. We have to keep learning from them what they want, what they need, and how we can provide it to them in a reasonably cost-effective manner. I know that my masterminds that I went on last year from literally all over the world, the things that I learned from people were unbelievable. Monica, I attended a couple that Monica was in. She's brilliant, by the way. And I'm so excited to see her here today. She really is. She's a brilliant instructor. And, I'm going to take my real quick, and I'll shut up, Lisa. Behind me, if I can take my picture behind me, that guy was my dad, and I bought the company from my dad, and very few people knew who he was, and God love him. He used to tell me, Richard, you can either dazzle people with your brilliance or you can baffle them with your baloney. And I love you to death, but you're just not that smart. And when you think about it, I loved him to death, but he was honest. That's why you have to surround yourself with excellence. And this organization gives you that opportunity to do it. I see the people in this room today who are far smarter than I'll ever be, but they've helped me over the years. They've given me their perspectives to make decisions. And that's what a leader has to do, is look at what is in the best interest of the organization. So I'll wrap up saying thank you all for being here today. You guys are an inspiration to me. And I truly have chills and I see the faces on here. So many of you took time. And the most important thing that we've had over the last year is time is precious to us. And you gave me your time today. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Richard. That was really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. So I will take this opportunity to introduce the people who are here on the leadership team. First of all, our CTO, who didn't even know she had that title, is Christine McClellan, who is the co-chair of our communications group and has single-handedly really taken responsibility for helping shepherding us through all of our Zoom mania and helping out with our YouTube channel. It's just been absolutely invaluable to count on Christine every week. That's been something that's just been amazing. And her, the chair of that committee is Kate Lanigan McGregor, who has been really great with all of our social media. Of course, we wouldn't be anywhere without Nora Lynch, who's our education chair. She really runs the top of this ship for sure, and she's an amazing, amazing leader. We're very thrilled to have her. Marie Presti keeps us keeps us honest as our finance chair, and has been a real great connection to both our state and our national association. Marie is the current treasurer of MAR and kind of on that ascending path, we like to think. But she's also served as finance chair at national for RRC. So she's just a wealth of information and really been amazing, an amazing trusted confidant as well, for sure. And then, of course, we have Karina Robles, who's this year's membership chair. Want to mention next week, we're very excited. Vicky, so the third week of every month is our member spotlight. And next week, Vicki Kennedy, who's been doing a ton of work for us, is going to be the member spotlight. And we may have another member from that state as well, which we're very excited about. And then the first week of the month, and in this case, first week of April, Nora is going to be having Matt Rathbun. We're very excited to have him for a 30-minute, I'm not sure what he's going to speak on, security or?
Hoping to get him for Clubhouse.
Oh, right. Clubhouse. Oh my God. So exciting. Yeah. Everybody needs to continue to figure out their profile and how to best add value on that new platform. And then we are very, very excited to Monica Newbar, who I think was on and just skipped off. She is going to be speaking to us on the 12th of April on DISC and how we can use that in our professional lives as realtors. And then our new committee is headed up by Ann Enos and Shannon Buss out of Rhode Island. And that is the Special Events and Sponsorship Committee. Very excited. We actually have an event this month on the 25th of March. It's another one of those all favorites, cross-border selling. And this one, again, will be Massachusetts, Rhode Island. They have an amazing panel, and we're really looking forward to a great event there. And Anne is working hard to continue to help grow our base of sponsors, as well as doing some special event programming in the next month. So really excited. What an amazing, amazing group we have here. And once again, thank you so much, Richard. Anybody have any last-minute questions that they want to ask Mr. Immediate Past President?
I'll share one thing with you. When you're the president,
I knew he couldn't let that go.
I have to. You travel pretty well when you're president at the national level. And last year, if you didn't join us in celebration, I had the president's suite at Championships Gate. It was bigger than my house, for crying out loud. And Cheryl and Lisa put together a party in my room. And Annie,
with other people, clarify. It was a reception.
75 people.
Jesus, it was a reception.
Annie, and here's the last story I'll leave with you. We have 75 people in my hotel room, big deck overlooking the golf course. It was just awesome. It was great. I hear screams coming out of the bathroom in my master bedroom. And I was like, oh dear Jesus, what's going on? I'm out here.
Oh,
It's
I
not
remember
me.
this now. Oh, yeah.
Mind you, I'm on the phone with my wife, and there's a woman screaming in the bathroom of my bedroom. Now, Annie, would you please explain what that screaming was?
Yes, it was so exciting. I'm so excited to report that my daughter announced in that bathroom that she was pregnant. So I have a 5-month-old grandson. So my husband and I were in there finding out we were going to be grandparents.
And I want you to know that God love my wife. We've been together 41 years. I just had to explain that. And you know what? With the background in CRS and RRC, she bought it. The whole story, not a problem. So, this is a great organization. You guys are led by a wonderful team. And truly, in New England, it to me is the greatest region and state that we have in our organization. I'm so proud of all of you for what you've done. And it's my joy to be one of your members, Madam President. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you so much. Another fabulous Mastermind Monday. Tune in next week for our member spotlight with Karina Robles and the team. And we look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week and see you next week.
Bye,
Thanks
all.
again, Richard.
Bye-bye.